Hi guys, welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs, and this is 7 reasons why the League of Ireland is better than the Premier League over in England. So number one on my list, guys, is no VAR. Now we've seen what VAR has done in the Premier League in the last number of years, something that I hate. I absolutely hate VAR with a passion, and I hate the people more so that run VAR. I thought when they were going to bring in VAR initially that it was going to be used for very occasionally for really clear and obvious decisions, but now they seem to be, they're checking everything with VAR. They're checking absolutely everything. Apart from that, they're not getting every decision right, even with the video evidence. But they're checking everything, micromanagement to the hilt, let's say. Could you imagine bringing a young kid to a Premier League game and the game lasting 120 minutes or something like that, even for yourself? I mean, you're going to get bored. You might have to be somewhere, etc., etc. You're going to have to say, right, we might be 120 minutes here at this match. We just have to deal with it. The waiting around, the players scoring and going, hang on a minute. We just have to wait around here for about 5 minutes to see if we've scored or not. No offside? Okay, fair enough, great. What? There was a handball in the build-up. Do you know what I mean? This kind of rubbish. It is absolutely deplorable, and I can't see how anyone could enjoy that. I don't know if they think over in the Premier League that heightens the drama. It heightens crap, if I'm honest with you. But in the League of Ireland, we don't have VAR, thank God. They don't have in the Championship in England either, thank God. But no chance of getting it in the League of Ireland anytime soon. Which is a great thing, because could you imagine going to a game in the League of Ireland and, 10, 15, 20 minutes of stoppage time, perhaps? Do you know what I mean? Every decision be checked while you're standing there waiting. I mean, I can imagine the impatience amongst the crowd as well. So a massive advantage and a massive reason as a League of Ireland, in my opinion, better than the Premier League is no bloody VAR, thank God. Number two on the list I have, none of these in order particularly. Number two I have on the list is honest footballers. You look over in England and the Premier League, and recently, for example, with Martin Rashford, who the hell's he? Marcus Rashford phoned in sick, but essentially he was out on a night out, just getting drunk, basically. Brilliant for him. He's on 300 grand a week. He's in control. Over here, players do get paid, and it's decent wages as well, to be fair. But it's not that ridiculous wage that you see over in the Premier League, where players are pretty much at least getting paid 100 grand a week, between 100 grand a week and 500 in some cases. And, why would you care? Why would you care? How could anyone care go out in a football pitch and really care if they're on that much money, especially a young lad, age 18, 19, 20? Why would you care? Prima donnas, to say the least. Some of them just couldn't be bothered. Lukaku doing videos while he's still at Chelsea Football Club because he knows the player has the power. The players have all the power. The management, the clubs have no power whatsoever, and it's not good for the game. It's not good for the game. It's far too much money to be handing out to players. It's not good for the game. It's not good for the product. You get lazier players. In the League of Ireland, as I said, they're on decent enough wages. Like, you're still getting paid more than a lot of other jobs, put it that way. But there's an honesty and effort, and it harkens back to a bit of old school kind of football. It's very rare. There's obviously going to be a couple of examples here and there in any walk of life, isn't there? But in general, you see two honest teams go onto the pitch, given that they're all, they can't kick up a fuss, let's say, the way Premier League stars kick up a fuss, because they know they'll be out in their ear. Basically, it's as simple as that. So the honesty and commitment of players, less diving as well. You don't see as many stupid dives in League of Ireland football as you do in Premier League football. I could never understand the diving in Premier League football. It's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Any time I've played sport, be it football, Gaelic football, I don't think I've ever dived once, to be honest. So I don't get it. It's embarrassing. But we don't have that in the League of Ireland. More honest players, more committed players. and you don't have that level of control, player power that you have in the Premier League. To number 3, and greater community feel, basically. There's more of a togetherness at football clubs in the League of Ireland. There's more of a niche to it. You know, if you go to a Premier League club, any Premier League club, be it Manchester United, Chelsea, you know, you feel detached. You feel detached from the football club in reality. You do. You go down to Dalymount Park, you go down to the Carlisle grounds, Bray jersey I'm wearing there. You go to Oriel Park, you go to, you know, Weavers Park and Drogheda, you go to Eamon DC Park, any pitch, any ground around the League of Ireland, and there's a sense you're really part of it, to be honest. There really is. And that's a sense as well. You just have that feeling and you have that actual sense. It's a feeling that you feel. You don't have that feeling when you're going to Old Trafford, the Etihad, you know, wherever, anywhere in the Premier League, you don't have that feeling. But you do in the League of Ireland, and you bump into people that you know. I'm not saying you don't bump into people that you know in if you go and see Manchester City play or whatever, but there's still more of a detachment that way. There's a good chance you bump into a lot of people, you know, when you go down to Richmond Park, when you go to Talca Park, wherever the ground is. You just, it has that bond and feel within the club, and you know, you can you can go to Richmond Park and have a chat with Brian Kerr. Do you know what I mean? You don't have that. You don't have that at Chelsea or Arsenal or Tottenham or anyone in the Premier League. So you have that real community feel aspect of it when you go into any League of Ireland ground. You sense it, even if it's not your club. You go to a club, you go to Sligo Rovers, whatever. You sense it yourself. The feel is there, and it's a good feeling compared to if you go to Stamford Bridge or the Etihad or Old Trafford. It's like going to the zoo, to be honest with you, in many ways. So yeah, that's number 3. Now, number 4 is the obvious expense. First of all, if you're living in Ireland, you know, there's a ground pretty much near you, let's be honest. Even if it's not near you, as in right beside you, you're likely, no matter where you are in the country, to be at least a couple of hours away from a ground. Of course, you could say it could take a couple of hours to get to Liverpool or Manchester or whatever, even London, you know what I mean? But the hassle of having gone over to a Premier League game, and the money and the expense compared to going down to your local League of Ireland game on a Friday night, have a pint, and then head home and enjoy the rest of your Saturday and Sunday and your weekend. You know, between 15 and 20 euro is the price to go to a League of Ireland game. You know, the Premier League varies. Arsenal's at the top end. I think it's about 80 quid sterling. But it's not just that, is it? It's everything else. It's everything else that you have to spend when you go over to watch a game in the Premier League. It can be, you know, it could be a few hundred, really, can't it? If you're to do that every few weeks, like, you know, it'd be very difficult. But in the League of Ireland, you get value for money. You 100% get value for money. And leads me on to the next one. And the next one is, I won't say controversial, but old school stadiums. So what I mean by that is, look at the Premier League, and it's fantastic. They've got amazing facilities. They do amazing facilities, and it is fantastic. But at the same time, there's something romantic about, say, Luton Town coming up into the Premier League, and you look at their stadium, and it's old school, and does give you that League of Ireland kind of vibe when you look at Kenilworth Road. And there's still a place for that, I think. Yes, the facilities in the League of Ireland stadiums have to be improved. Absolutely, they do. But within the size of the clubs, if that makes sense. We know that. We all know that. But at the same time, you know, there's an ugly duckling thing here, really. If you go down to Richmond Park, or you go to Talca Park, or you go to Eamon DC Park, you go to the Showgrounds, you go to the Brandywell, you go to Finn Park, there's something, I don't know, comforting about going to these grounds. I don't know what it is. It is the ugly duckling scenario, but it's, I don't know, maybe it's a realness. It feels like there's a realness to these grounds compared to going to these grounds, the Premier League, the Olympic Stadium in West Ham, for example. There's a realness. You feel like you're almost on the pitch. You feel like you can really smell the grass, let's say, when you go to a League of Ireland ground. And I think part of their charm, a lot of their charms I'd like to keep, But obviously, they do need to modernise and improve their stadiums. But can we do that and keep the charms as such as well? Like, you know what I mean? And one of the reasons I supported, the main reason at the time, the main reason started supporting St Patrick's Athletic was I just for some reason I really liked the ground. I went to a couple of League of Ireland games here and there, and as soon as I walked into Richmond, I went, yeah, this is the one for me. Um, it's hard to explain, and people who support the League of Ireland, people who support their clubs, will say that as well. It's very hard to explain because some of them are a mess at this point, especially now. You know, some of them are a mess. Let's be real. But I don't know. There's something about walking the houses at Richmond Park, and you kind of go through, and there's a bit of a dip down to the pitch, and I don't know. That brings a smile to my face, even to this day. It does. So the old school nature stadiums can't be underestimated, in my opinion, either. On to the next one, number 6, League of Ireland Ultras. I've put down for this one, and you go to a ground over in England, and yeah, of course, you have your ultra groups. You do have your ultra groups, but I think sometimes they're lost because the size of the stadiums, um, and because they're a minority, big time. If you go over to any of these games over in the Premier League, it's very touristy, isn't it? A lot of the time, it's very touristy. Whereas if you go to a ground in the League of Ireland and it's hopping and there's a big Dublin derby, or there's a big Louth derby, or there's a big Northwest derby, or there's a big Munster derby between Cork and Waterford, the ultra groups are very important in the League of Ireland, very important, and they really do make it the day and the atmosphere work because the crowds are relatively small. Compared to the Premier League. Our crowds are up, but they're still relatively small compared to the Premier League. So that atmosphere is honed in. It's kept in the stadium, that atmosphere. It's bottled almost. And you can really feel the atmosphere because of it. Another thing we have, okay, the FAI don't like it, not the point. The other thing we have is what the Premier League don't really have, and is pyrotechnics. I know some people don't like it or whatever, but I do personally think it adds to the atmosphere and the experience of a League of Ireland game once controlled safely, of course, but I think it does. And these ultra groups are massive. They're so passionate, it's unbelievable. They make so much noise, and as I said, it generates a lot of noise in the League of Ireland ground. I've had people go to games in the League of Ireland who haven't gone before, and the friends and that type of thing, and they've been amazed by that. Remember bringing a friend to Drogheda and Dundalk at Weavers Park, and I think Drogheda won 1-0. I can't remember which particular game it was. He was amazed by the atmosphere from both sets that night, Dundalk and Drogheda. And because of that as well, unlike a Premier League game, you really get the bounce off both sets of fans, which you don't really get at a Premier League game as much. The atmosphere is almost trapped, really. But yeah, and apart from that, our League of Ireland Ultras do amazing work. Leads me on to number 7. And number 7's an interesting one, actually, because maybe a lot of people wouldn't have thought of this one. They might have thought of some of the other ones, but unknown transfer market. This is one, actually, that I really like. If I'm playing Football Manager, for example, right? I'm not managing Chelsea, I'm not managing Bayern Munich, I'm not managing Barcelona, I'm managing Chelmsford City or Stranraer, because I like the idea of bringing in players that I literally haven't a clue who they are, these clubs. And in the League of Ireland, there's a big element of that, clubs bringing in players that you're looking at them and you're going, who's this guy they're bringing in from England? Who's this guy they're bringing in from Scotland? Who's this guy they're bringing in from Estonia? I'm looking at you, Bohemians fans. There's a large element of that, and that brings a natural intrigue, so it does. A natural intrigue, and it's always very interesting to see how they get on, and the unknown and the uncertainty. I like that. Now, with any transfer or signing, there's unknown and uncertainty, etc. But most players that go to the Premier League, you know who they are. If you don't know who they are, seen them play, you've certainly heard of them. But this idea of players coming in and this guy's on trial and where is he from and who is he? I don't know, it just adds an element of excitement to the whole thing, I think, as well, to be honest with you. And that's a big thing for me as well. So, as I mentioned there's 7 reasons, in my opinion, why the League of Ireland is better than the Premier League. Have you thought any of these reasons? Are there any other reasons that you could personally come up with, as I'm struggling here with heartburn. Let me know in the comments. That would be fantastic. And that's it, really. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't before. It helps us grow. Hit your bell notification button so you're updated with our uploads. And please like the video, guys. If we can get 50 likes, it'd be fantastic. But let me know in the comments what you think about these 7 reasons. And if you have any other reasons yourself, let me know. See you later. Bye bye.